Um, it's been interesting. There's a lot of polarized perspectives. So I'm going to talk a little bit about legislation for a second. Since we've got a couple of great individuals that have some of that governance background, I'm curious to see. There's been polarized perspectives on affirmative action or ameliorative provisions to ensure that we've got people that have the right skills, the right merit in place. So people that have the backgrounds in place to be able to get into a position based on ensuring that marginalized folks have the opportunities available to them. I'd be interested to hear what your thoughts are around that, and how do we avoid any kind of tokenism then of individuals coming into positions, and so that people actually see the amazing merit and the lived experiences that they bring to these positions. So maybe
You
Professor
want me to start with
Turner.
Lyle? Maybe Lyle? Because Lyle left
Well,
us.
she'd mentioned policymakers, and I got to understand I'm not as gifted as both of you for the positions you're in. So I would love to hear your perspectives first.
And Ziad, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, Lyle left us with a very good thought over mentoring. I call it mentoring and education. I'll tell you this: every experience. I was elected the first member of parliament from the Arab community in Western Canada in the history. Manitoba West, the first member of parliament from the Arab community was ever elected to the, and we have a huge community here. What that meant was 90% personal efforts, because I saw the system. I was involved with the political parties at very early stage. I chose which party after being here for 10 years. And now everybody talking about this sort of a path forward, 20 years of working in one area, trying to focus on, and you get somewhere. Now, the knowledge that I've developed, or at least my experience is get to the community is worth then going to university for forever, in order to be able to share this is a path from someone came with $600 in the pocket with no English to become member of parliament and legislators at the highest parliament of the nation. So what I'm saying, there's a lot of success stories out there, and Canada is one of the countries that need patience. A lot of people will complain. They will come, they want everything to be done yesterday. But they discover, we keep advising people, patient and patient and patient. As far as legislation, of course, if we legislate without consulting with people, we're not doing the right job. So we have to talk to the educators, such as yourself, Lyle. We have to talk to the fabric, political, the public fabric, the communities, the everybody, the lawyers, the business people, people like Rian, and everyone. We have to be able to see where the problem is, where the missing opportunity. When I say it's a very common in among the political community when we say we have the highest educated taxi cab drivers in the world. That means we do have a problem there. We have maybe thousands and thousands of people. They wish to have the opportunity to do what they're best at or they were educated at, but still the system is not allowing them to do that. Whether it's an organization, let's say, such as the College of Surgeons and Physicians, whether it's the Engineering Association Canada, whatever the Boilermakers, okay, just name whatever you can name. I think legislation need to give and can be done to give those people the opportunity, and maybe that will at least give them a chance, because you cannot blame employer to look for his or her best interest when it comes to who's gonna be hired to do the job. But at the end of the day, I think if we can somehow help them through legislation, I think can be done. And I told you earlier, I'm against engineering. We cannot engineer it. But I think the government can do a lot in this regard. And maybe somebody has to start with a private member bill to do that. And I think that will go a long way.
Thank you so much, MP Ziad. I think that's a great perspective, and thank you for sharing that. Rhiannon, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I would have to agree with both my panelists here from the perspective of hard work is imperative. It's this is for me. This isn't about as we say in the political landscape. Not a handout. It's a hand up. I think it's a two-prong approach here. So for me in my personal life, I'm somebody who throws myself into the arena. I'm somebody who has the confidence and who's had the education and the family upbringing to step out and take that risk and to find and pave my way. So absolutely agreeing with that perspective. However, the other aspect of it is, where we need policy and legislation just to ease and relax and open that ability there as well. So for me, looking at some of the experience that I have more on the grassroots level, most of my work has been in the mentorship, the engagement, inspiring people. Even if it's first time for me, it's bringing others along and saying, come on, let's do this. Let's explore. Let's experiment. I mean, the fact of the matter is diversity is a strength. It's not a deficit. It's not something that we've got to fix. In a practical sense now, when we are looking at whether it's colleges or businesses or nonprofits, we also need this social discussion and action where diversity organizations can leverage diversity for the betterment of their business, for the bottom line, for the culture and bringing in better ideas, for troubleshooting, problem solving. More, having more diversity isn't a business imperative. So if we're talking about it from a very specific, results oriented. This is where the culture now needs to be, where leaders in an organization appreciate and understand that diversity is really where the secret sauce is. And we still don't see that enough in organizations. I could speak now as a racialized woman who is running for office. When we see on political governance boards, I was the first as well, being elected for my age, for my gender, as well as for my background, as well as being an immigrant, to be the president of a political corporate governance board. And in that position, I had the power to lead an entire political party along with a board. That's not something that comes easily to those who look like me. But I had many people uplifting me, and I also took that risk. So, it was a great experience because it allowed that kind of environment to see where diversity is about recognizing and celebrating those rich dimensions that individuals bring unique to them. And then that adds that layer now of risk management, where if I think in terms of a college or business or in a political party or in politics, you want to have different thoughts and different backgrounds and bring that different experience to the table, because what one person sees as a risk, maybe another person might not at all. And, second, that importance of having that diversity at the table is really important in managing unintended consequences. When we look at different ethnic cultural backgrounds and sensitivities around those, we want to be very careful in the language we use, in the messaging that's put forward, and how we are including different groups, and making sure that we manage those unintended consequences of insulting people or making them feel like they don't belong into the fabric of Canadian society. So for me, there's a two-pronged approach. It's how do we engage people to step up, step out, take that risk, not be afraid, know who you are, know your education, know your value. But on the other front, we do need organizations to realize that they are systems and processes in place that could make things challenging depending on the industry, depending on the individual, and the status of their life.
Thank you so much. Really well said. And I'm seeing from the discussion in the comments here as well that a lot of folks are completely agreeing with the comments that you've made there, Rhiannon. I'm going to turn it over to Professor Lyle.
You betcha. Well, thank you once again, both my colleagues and now friends. I love what you're saying. And one thing that I'm thinking about are the individual stories of newcomers to Canada. I just love both your stories here. And I've heard hundreds, if not close to thousands of stories just in my role as an educator. And I think one story that stands out is a friend I met who came over from Nigeria. And again, had much like your background, Zayat, right? And came to Brooks, where I was working as an educator. You know that community well. And he really worked hard to engage the community. He was shy, but kind of extroverted at the same time. He was a paradox. And he came to me one time and he said, I want to talk to you about your doctoral research. So we met at Tim Hortons and we sat down with another fella from Sudan and we were talking about my doctoral research. But really all they wanted to talk about was hockey, because I was coaching the senior men's hockey team in the community. And so I told them about hockey. And my buddy from Nigeria, and he's become my brother and since that time. And he said, well, can I come to a hockey game? And I said, yes, you can. But coming to the hockey game, he wasn't content with just sitting in the stands. So he wanted to be in my dressing room. So I found him a role to count the statistics in a game, and he became one of my assistant coaches. But as a leader on that hockey team, or as a leader in schools, you have to, provide a roadmap sometimes and an opportunity for a person to walk through and to grow that experience himself. And I'm seeing that in both of your stories. And he's gone on to get another degree in Canada, and he's now enrolled in his master's degree in engineering at another university in Canada. But I probably contributed a little bit. He thinks a lot, but I contributed a little bit for opening a few doors. But he had to do the heavy lifting in terms of engaging people. And he was shy, but yet he wasn't shy. And my question is, how do you bring people from the margins into situations like that a little bit more? Because we got to get people talking. Like, we got to get more Canadian-born people talking with more new Canadians. And in our work, we're still seeing some gaps there, and so to get as many people in the room telling their stories from all corners. And I mean, you in your roles, and I can't see on the screen right now, you have that every day. But I think it's something that we still have to constantly look for opportunities. Even teachers and leaders in schools have to intentionally look for those leadership opportunities for those kids on the margins, because they will bring a new sport to the gymnasium, or something new to an English language classroom, or a social studies lesson. But they're just sometimes too shy to do that, unlike both my colleagues.